First series of questions I'd like to ask is about data hacks. The Office of the Australian Information Commissioner has released its notifiable data breaches report for July to December 2021, revealing 464 data breach notifications, private and public, in 6 months from July to December 2021, an increase of 6% compared with the previous year. That's the notification of any data breach. Further data breaches just in 2022, and I'll read some of them out, so far reads like a who's who of corporate and government in Australia. So these include Microsoft, October 2022, Australian Federal Police, October 2022. I'll skip a few. Medibank, October 2022. Woolworths, My Deal, Optus, Uber, TikTok, LastPass, DoorDash, WA Health, government entity. Cisco, they provide half the world's routers. Twitter, University of Western Australia. Uber, Victorian Government. Woolworths again. Deakin University, Department of Home Affairs. NDIS, with a lot of private data there. Coca-Cola, Panasonic, Microsoft again in March 2022. Samsung, Toyota Motor, New South Wales Government, another government entity. News Corp, another data corporation. Red Cross Australia, another public database with personal data. Bunnings, with ubiquitous data. So they're just some of the ones for 2022, and you can see they're quite represented heavily by big tech and also government and also academia. Have you added up, Commissioner, how many Australians have had their data breached over the now 5 years of event reporting?
Thank you, Senator. So we've received around 4,000 notifiable data breaches since the scheme commenced in February of 2018. In terms of the numbers of Australians that have been impacted, until the most recent breaches with Optus and Medibank, they had not been of the same scale. Sometimes we're unable to discern precisely the number of Australians affected, particularly if it's a global data breach that is affected individuals worldwide. But without commenting on the list that you've read out, which I don't have before me, I think the issue that you're raising is that notifiable data breaches and data breaches are a significant issue for the community. And what the last couple of months, I think, have told all of corporate Australia and government is the need to ensure cyber resilience and to prevent data breaches from happening in the first place.
And to make us robust against data breaches, because the biggest data breaches, I'm told, come from government agencies around the world, many nations, and big tech. So it seems that and quite a few of them are due to human error. So let's take it up further then. Do you maintain a KPI, for instance, showing what percentage of adult Australians were hacked each year?
No, Senator. So in terms of the performance of my office, under the notifiable data breaches scheme, we seek to resolve all of those breaches within 60 days of receipt, and we meet that KPI, which is reported in the portfolio budget statements. In terms of your comments around where data breaches are occurring, my reports that I've released every 6 months since 2018 show that the highest sector for reporting data breaches is health, followed by finance. Third place changes from time to time. Currently it's insurance, but last financial year it was legal, accounting and management services.
They're pretty sensitive areas, all of them, for individuals.
They are. I should also point out that private health service providers are covered by the Privacy Act regardless of their annual turnover, whereas other entities are exempt from the Act if they have a $3 million or less turnover. So in that way, health may be disproportionately represented.
So I just said a minute ago that we need to make ourselves robust to these hacks. The companies I've just read out are going to be partners in the government's trusted digital identity with access to the whole package of data on each Australian. In effect, hacking one, if they're amalgamated into one digital identity, hacking one would make everything available for that person. Is the trusted digital identity creating a hacker's paradise? Because it certainly seems like it to me, by putting all data for individuals in the one spot under a single identity everyone uses.
Senator, I've read that digital ministers have recently met and have agreed to increase resilience and to look at a strategy around digital identity resilience. In terms of the Trusted Digital Identity Framework, that's a matter for, I think, the Department of Finance now. But from my regulatory role, what I can say is that any digital identity framework needs to ensure that it has robust safeguards in place, and we would say that it ought to also include appropriate legislative oversight mechanisms.
Well, we already have some pretty strong legislation oversight, and we're having lots of hacks, and if we amalgamate the data from many companies for each individual, then it's going to be a hacker's paradise. That was the point. But let's change the topic back to FOI. A constituent, Mr Daniel Briggs, lodged an FOI request to the ABC on the 15th of March 2021. He lodged an appeal against the decision with the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner on the 2nd of June 2021. Why hasn't he received a reply from the OAIC even when he inquired about progress after more than a year has passed?
Senator, our ordinary process would be that an individual who makes an application for review would receive an acknowledgement of that in a timely manner, ordinarily almost immediately, but certainly within 2 business days. If that hasn't occurred in relation to your constituent, I've heard the name that you have read out, and I'll ensure that a response is provided and an apology given.
So the average time would be somewhere between up to 2 days?
Ordinarily, our early resolution and triage system would in fact often generate an automated acknowledgement. So if that hasn't occurred, I'll need to look into it. Okay,
so can you tell me on notice, please, when you've looked into this case, why the appeal has taken so long? His reference number, Mr Briggs's OAIC reference is MR21/00524.
If it's an issue around time taken for an Information Commissioner review, Senator, currently we are resolving many matters in a timely manner, but there are a number of matters that have been unable to be allocated to case officers due to the incremental increase in the numbers of applications we've received and our resource constraints.
So you've got resource constraints on this?
In relation to FOI, yes, Senator.
Okay. I've got just to tidy up something that is a concern for people for about 2 years now. The OAIC is responsible for the data privacy on the COVID Safe app. According to your website, the data is deleted after 21 days. As the app was terminated on the 16th of August 2022, have you checked to ensure that all app data has been deleted, including data uploaded to Health Department servers?
We currently have an assessment underway to check that, Senator.
Okay. Is there any COVID Safe app data still being used anywhere? And if so, is this data anonymised?
The data store has, as I understand it, Senator, been deleted. What my assessment or audit will do is to verify that that is the case.
Thank you. When do you think the audit will be completed?
It's imminent, Senator, and it will be published on my website.
Thank you. Last question, Chair. Did you review the use of the data to ensure there were no breaches in data access or sharing rules?
So there was no complaints received from individuals, there were no data breaches reported, and my office has undertaken 4 audits of the system to ensure the information was handled in accordance with the legislative requirements. Okay, so you're confident that there's no breaches in the data use? There's been no breaches that have been reported to my office, Senator, no. Okay.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair.